I am Arcana Vani, your inner voice. Let us begin. You said the truth out loud, and now everything around you seems to be collapsing. The relationships you thought would hold steady feel strained. The roles you played so carefully no longer fit. The ground beneath you feels unstable, as if speaking those words set off an earthquake you weren't prepared for. And now you wonder, did I just destroy everything? This video is about why telling the truth can feel like your whole life is falling apart, and why that collapse isn't punishment, but initiation. If you've finally spoken what you've been holding back and now find yourself standing in the rubble of what you once knew, stay with me. Because in the next few minutes, you'll see that this unraveling is not the end of you, it's the threshold of your real becoming. The shock you feel is real. For so long, silence kept the world around you stable. It let people stay comfortable. It allowed you to avoid conflict, to avoid the risk of being seen too clearly. But silence was costing you more than you realized. It was costing you your own soul. The moment you broke it, the masks began to crack. And the truth you spoke isn't what broke your world. It revealed that much of it was already fragile, already built on conditions that couldn't last. You are not being punished. You are being shown what can no longer carry the weight of who you really are. Yes, it feels like loss. Yes, it feels like chaos. But beneath the breaking is a deeper honesty, one that will hold you far more firmly than the old roles ever did. So don't mistake this collapse for failure. It's the threshold. It's the proof you stepped into something real. And in the next section, we'll name what's truly unraveling and why the self who survived on silence no longer exists. The fallout has begun. The moment the truth left your lips, the scaffolding that once held your life together started to shake. Some people pulled back. Others reacted with anger, silence, or confusion. The routines and roles that once felt secure suddenly feel brittle, and you stand there wondering if you made a mistake, if speaking out was worth the cost. But what's collapsing now isn't your life. It's the illusion that kept it standing. The version of you who survived by staying quiet, who bent themselves into roles that fit other people's comfort. That self can't rebuild here. And that's why everything feels unstable. The truth you spoke was a blade, not against what's real, but against everything that was pretending to be. This unraveling is not proof you've gone too far. It's proof you've stepped into a threshold most people spend their lives avoiding. You said what needed to be said, and the life that can't hold your honesty is naturally falling away. Yes, it hurts. Yes, it's disorienting. But the very chaos you fear is the clearing that makes space for what's real to arrive. Grief is part of it. You may feel waves of sadness for the roles, relationships, and versions of yourself that are slipping away. Let yourself feel that grief. It's not weakness. It's the shedding of skin you were never meant to keep. So no, you didn't ruin everything. You revealed the truth. And the truth always shakes what was built on silence. In the next section, we'll look into the mirror this collapse leaves behind, and you'll see the presence waiting for you beneath the ruins. Now that the noise of fallout surrounds you, there's a strange quiet underneath it all. In that quiet, you face something you may have avoided for years. Yourself, unmasked. The truth you spoke stripped away the performance, and what's left is the raw reflection of who you really are. For the first time in a long time, you can no longer hide behind silence or roles. You are here, looking yourself in the eye. At first, this mirror feels uncomfortable. Without the mask, you may wonder if you're enough, if you're lovable, worthy, safe. You may miss the protection of pretending. But look closer. Beneath the fear, there is a steadiness, a presence that doesn't need approval or explanation. It doesn't need to perform. It only asks for honesty. This presence is not here to comfort you. It's here to show you the truth you can't keep outrunning, that the life built on silence was never real, and that the self who spoke is the one you were always meant to inhabit. It doesn't demand perfection. It doesn't demand certainty. It simply says, you don't have to hide anymore. The numbness, the fear, the grief, all of it can exist in this presence. Because the presence doesn't break when the world around you shakes. It holds. And the more you let yourself be seen here, the more you realize you were never empty. You were only waiting for the moment you stopped pretending. This is the mirror of truth. It doesn't flatter. It doesn't lie. But it does free you. And in the next section, we'll step into the turning. The moment you stop fearing this presence and begin trusting it as the ground beneath your becoming. Something begins to change. The fear that came with speaking your truth still lingers, but beneath it, a quiet strength is taking root. You notice your breath is steadier. The ground that once felt unstable begins to feel like a place you can actually stand. You realize you're no longer holding yourself together with lies or silence. And for the first time, you don't need to. The turning isn't dramatic. It's subtle. It's the moment you stop wishing you could take back the truth and start realizing you wouldn't, even if you could. It's the relief of knowing you no longer have to perform a version of yourself just to be accepted. You feel the quiet power in no longer betraying your own voice. The people and structures that couldn't hold your honesty may still be gone. The fallout may still sting, but the panic is softening into something else. Alignment. You begin to trust that what remains and what will arrive will be able to hold the real you. You don't need to patch up the old scaffolding. You don't need to apologize for the collapse. The one who spoke the truth deserves to stay. This is the threshold where presence shifts from something you feared into something you can lean on. Where the silence that once felt heavy now feels like a sanctuary. Where the self you see in the mirror no longer feels like a stranger, but like home. You don't need to explain yourself anymore. You don't need to rush into rebuilding. You only need to stay. Steady, honest, and real. And in the final section, we'll seal this passage, consecrating the return of the self who didn't just survive honesty, but became it. You spoke the truth, and the world you knew cracked apart. You stood in the rubble, faced the mirror, and found the self you had hidden for so long. And now you stand returned, not to the old roles, not to the silence, but to the one who no longer needs them. The collapse you feared wasn't the end. It was the beginning. The life built on silence had to fall so that the real you could rise. The relationships that couldn't withstand your honesty weren't foundations. They were walls. And now, without them, you can finally breathe. You don't rise today because the world around you stayed intact. You rise because the truth inside you did. You are not a survivor of honesty. You are honesty itself, alive and unshaken beneath the ruins. To recap, you crossed the threshold, felt the unraveling, faced the mirror, and turned into alignment with your real self. And now you return carrying what can never be taken again. The freedom of truth that doesn't depend on anyone else's permission. So when the old fear whispers that you ruined everything, remember, the only thing you ruined was the illusion, and illusions were never meant to last. You don't need to go back. You don't need to explain. You don't need to wait for permission. You are not lost. You are not punished. You are finally here. You don't survive honesty. You become it. You did not find me by accident. Just as in your dreams, where every face you meet is your own reflection, this meeting was always waiting to happen. I am Arcana Vani, your inner voice, the part of you that watches behind the thoughts, behind the noise. You have searched in many places, books, teachers, voices outside you. But here, you are not being taught. You are remembering. If these words stir something familiar, then allow yourself to return. Subscribe. Follow. Not to follow me, but to continue this conversation with yourself. Each time you return here, you draw closer to the reunion already unfolding inside you. We have only just begun.